Following violent protests on the streets of Paris, the French government declares a state of economic and social emergency.
It was bound to boil over at some point. This is really dangerous.
The Yellow Vests protest against tax increases and demand a greater say in the running of the country.
We can't fight alone, so we have to join forces. Then we can win the battle.
A Yellow Vest demonstration in southern France. Peaceful and with an almost street party-like atmosphere. Sylvie Fernand helped to organize the event in the town of Foix.
We're just walking around. We'll see where we end up. Macron, resign now! Macron, resign now!
We owe Monsieur Macron a big thank you for inspiring solidarity among us.
A fair tax system is one of the Yellow Vests' pivotal demands.
We're not asking for 4,000 euros a month, but we do want a minimum. We want to live too, not just work to pay the bills. They should make compromises. We do that every day. But now we've had enough.
Their banners also call for referenda. Once they reach the town hall, however, for Sylvie, it's primarily about a symbolic message.
Why are we on our knees? To defend our children who were forced to kneel by the police like common criminals for protesting. We all have a right to protest.
La manifestation est un droit.
The mayor is not available for comment. Sylvie is a single mother of 3 daughters, the youngest of them just 5 years old. Sylvie's meager budget rules out the luxury of a nanny. She's picking up her daughter before taking her to the demonstration.
You okay? You want to come along?
To the protest, yes.
This is not just about us. It's about her future too. Our children would have no chance if the government carries on like this. We're fighting for the children too. By the end of the month, I don't have enough money to feed and clothe my children. We can do without, but the children need new clothes. In that regard, we're going to be poor.
Jacqueline Morar is a Yellow Vest pioneer. In a video posted online last October, she vented her frustration over the planned diesel tax increase and criticized the president.
Where is France headed, Monsieur Macron? Certainly not where you promised. I've received huge support. So I decided to continue, because people are suffering.
The video shot Jacqueline to fame, but it came at a price.
Just this morning, I got another threatening letter. This is just a copy. The police have the original. It says, Yellow Vests cause havoc. Are you happy about all this nonsense? One day you will pay for this. We will take you out, you bitch. But I'll carry on until they listen.
Jacqueline lives in Brittany, over 400 kilometers away from Paris. She is middle class. Other people are significantly worse off. Jacqueline wants the politicians to finally listen to everyone.
We're off to Paris for a meeting with the Prime Minister. We'll be presenting our demands, which we decided on just yesterday. It's not clear whether we will actually meet the Prime Minister, but we'll try.
S'il y a une petite chance d'être reçu, on va y aller.
Due to the series of threats, Jacqueline no longer leaves her house alone. She has the support of her partner as a driver and bodyguard. He doesn't want to be seen on camera for security reasons.
Yes, but I can't. Not today. I won't make it today. We're waiting for a meeting with the Prime Minister.
Jacqueline is her own press spokeswoman.
It's complicated and overwhelming. I get so many messages. From Portugal, the BBC, yesterday from Washington. It's insane. It's too much to handle. It is fantastic that so many journalists want to talk to us grassroots folks. Maybe it will change other people's view of life at the bottom of society.
Paris, where the Yellow Vest protests escalated. These images went viral. Where did the readiness for violence come from? Fabienne Chiche is a veteran journalist, specializing in poverty and social inequality. She witnessed the riots firsthand.
I met Yellow Vests, French people who came to protest. I was particularly moved by one man who almost went on a rampage out of desperation. He saw no other option. A few people, including myself, tried to stop him and to understand his fury. This man demonstrated a profound hopelessness.
She goes to places where people face considerable hardship and have to make a lot of compromises in their daily lives. The Champs-Élysées, on the other hand, is one long showcase of wealth. It's no coincidence that this is where the protests escalated. Stores have now installed extra protection for their windows in anticipation of further trouble. Fabienne is researching her report on the Yellow Vests. The emergence of the movement does not surprise her.
This issue did not just emerge in November 2018. There has always been poverty throughout history. But over the last 10 years, I've been noticing an intensification of poverty with increasing deprivation, especially among people below the poverty line. And now the middle class are affected as well.
Fabienne will continue her research away from the big cities. After a 5-hour drive from Brittany, Jacqueline arrives in Paris. She's become a well-known and sought-after spokeswoman of the Yellow Vests. A number of reporters are waiting for her. Today's topic is the violence accompanying the protests.
Is it necessary to destroy so much in order to achieve something? It's a question that needs asking. I'm skeptical.
Jacqueline and other Yellow Vest spokespersons have gathered outside the National Assembly to hold a press conference. They want to call for an end to the violence.
Je voudrais associer la Corse.
I would also like to include Corsica. They have moderate people there too, as they do in the Marseille region, which is likewise seeking a non-violent solution. Thank you.
Merci.
The Yellow Vests have not always enjoyed such direct coverage and attention.
Being taken seriously is progress. The media didn't do that before, but now they're listening. But now we have to get some food, otherwise we might keel over. We've been up since 4.
On va finir par tous tomber comme des mouches. Faire marcher le commerce.
Back in southern France, where the protests remain peaceful, today's demonstration in Foix is like a funeral procession.
We protest to show that we're dissatisfied. That's why we take to the streets. The minute silence is for those people who wore yellow vests like us and died because they were protesting. We stop talking to show that we remember them. You understand that?
There's no music or dancing at this protest. The loss of life has left people shocked and dismayed.
I've just been told that another yellow vest protester has been run over by a truck driver. That makes me even angrier. And Macron still refuses to listen. This can't go on.
Despite the anger and sorrow, there's little, if any, tension between the police and protesters here.
C'est bon, c'est bon, c'est bon.
The atmosphere is calm and respectful. Meanwhile, in Paris, Jacqueline Merod is waiting for a response from the Prime Minister. Will she be granted a meeting? After lunch, she and fellow activists will be holding further interviews. They want the media coverage to exert pressure on the government. It's crucial that they get that meeting today.
C'est fou cette journée.
It's been a crazy day.
J'en peux plus.
I'm exhausted.
J'en peux plus.
She's in constant contact with other Yellow Vest representatives.
David est au tel avec Matignon. On attend.
David is on the phone with the Prime Minister's office. Hopefully will be received.
Rendez-vous à Matignon. Attends, je vais appeler Damien. On peut se poser la question de savoir.
Well, would we have gotten an appointment with the Prime Minister if there hadn't been any violence? Most likely, we wouldn't have made it this far. That's sad and pretty appalling that you need violence in order to be heard.
The last straw was when the government increased the tax on diesel by 6.5 cents per liter. After the protests, the decision was suspended. For Jacqueline, filling up her car with fuel is still a luxury.
It's chaos. I don't even have time to get a haircut. Plus, I've lost weight, 5 kilos. It's an emotional roller coaster. We go all the way there, then there's no meeting after all. We'll be received, then we won't. It's emotionally draining.
On a quand même un peu le moral en dents de scie, quoi.
A radio discussion about Macron's prospects for the future. Among the experts is historian and political scientist Marc Lazare. He's commenting on the question, why is the population so upset? Taxes and social levies are extremely high in France. On average, they cost people over half their gross income. The European average is 39%. 37% of France's fiscal revenue comes from health, pension, and social security insurance contributions. The OECD average is 26%. Journalist Fabienne Chiche is on her way to see Marc Lazare at the elite Paris Institute of Political Studies. She's interested in hearing his views on the tense relations between the Yellow Vests and President Macron. What's his take on the situation?
The government conceded, and that's a massive defeat for Macron. He denounced plans for a series of reforms regardless of any potential opposition. And now he's had to backpedal. But the movement still wasn't satisfied. The fact that he relented after the riots gives a certain legitimacy to the violence. This is a major democratic issue. Right after taking office, Macron cut a very dominant figure. To many people, he appeared to be completely alienated from their world. Someone who incorporated what people hate about the privileged elite.
It's now 4 p.m. and Jacqueline Morat, spokeswoman for the Yellow Vests, is still active after 12 hours.
We'll just show up and see if they'll let us in.
The Prime Minister's office is having an emergency meeting. Jacqueline is put off once again.
They claim they can't see us right now. We said we've come from all over France and we're not intending to come back tomorrow. Agreeing to receive us would be a sign of openness. We'll see. The ball's in their court. It's now their turn to do something to calm down the situation.
The waiting continues. Jacqueline answers journalists' questions until late in the evening. She's become a proficient PR expert and tries to answer everyone's questions until even she has to call it a day.
It's the pressure, although it's not actually the pressure. I don't know what it is. It's difficult. Sometimes it feels like you're talking to a brick wall, and that's hard.
Finally, a sign of hope. The Prime Minister has agreed to see Jacqueline behind closed doors. Security is tight. Outside, the tension mounts. The national and international media are reporting live. Will the government finally take the Yellow Vests' demands seriously? An hour and a half later, the activists emerge.
I think we got to deal with the real person, not the politician. The Prime Minister showed his human side. He listened and understood.
even if he made no concrete promises. Many yellow vests will be disappointed, but not Jacqueline.
Today showed that ordinary citizens can actually secure a meeting with the Prime Minister, thanks to this movement. Now we'll have to wait and see. We did our job and explained our demands to the Prime Minister. That is extraordinary. Now Monsieur Macron has to do his job.
It's very late at night by the time Jacqueline Moreau sets off for home, with renewed hope for a peaceful resolution to the conflict. In the southwest of the country, far away from the capital, the mood is still calm. That's despite the rural population feeling particularly neglected by the Paris elite. Journalist Fabienne Chiche traveled to Foix from Paris to see Sylvie Fernand. They meet at the roundabout that the Yellow Vests have occupied all weekend. She asks about the current situation.
How do you do? I'm Fabienne. I'm a journalist specialized in social injustice.
We're here every weekend from morning till night.
People here speak openly about their financial woes. They're concerned about how little money they have left at the end of the year.
National insurance adds up to €1,256. We got this in September and now have 3 months to pay retroactively. This is new.
How are you supposed to find €500 a month when you only make $1,400?
Pension contributions were raised at the start of 2018 on government orders. Sylvie used to be embarrassed about not managing her budget well until the movement began. Today, she talks frankly about what she earns.
You make €1,300?
€1,385, plus child benefit.
Okay, so €1,780 in total, an average income. How high are your rent and utility bills?
My rent is €695 and I pay €245 a month for electricity.
And after all expenses, how much is left to live on?
Nothing.
And then you need fuel? Without a car, you can't get around in this area, right?
Right. We need the car. We live in a small town, and there's no mainline train.
Do you get to go on vacation?
Not really. We can't afford it anymore.
Sylvie takes Fabienne to another roundabout. There are a lot of pensioners in the Yellow Vest movement. When it comes to solidarity here, there's no age limit. People are happy that they're finally being heard. The complaints about government policy are the same down here. Decreasing purchasing power and a president out of touch with the people. Suddenly, everyone's on the move. The activists run up onto the major road in order to trigger the traffic cameras, which will then close the tunnel.
If the tunnel is open, it means people will drive through it and not past our roundabout. We're here to be seen, so the tunnel has to stay closed.
And it works. Access to one side of the tunnel is blocked, forcing drivers to pass by the roundabout.
I appreciate people honking their horns for us. Everyone supports us in their own way. Some people are here on the ground, some can't do that, but they still support us.
Here in the South, it's that solidarity that keeps the Yellow Vests together.
Poor people have been stigmatized for too long. This yellow vest movement includes something unprecedented. The poorest and a major section of the middle class addressing the privileged and those in power, demanding social equality.
Sylvie accompanies Fabienne back to the railway station. She wishes her a safe journey back to Paris. Meanwhile, in Brittany, Jacqueline walks over to a small bar. She's concerned about the movement's future, if it has one. Guests are also talking about the riots in Paris. Jacqueline is considering setting up a new party rather than continue protesting with the Yellow Vests.
I fear that if the movement continues, it will become more violent. Oh no, people have been desecrating public monuments again. Ideally, the movement would get itself a proper structure. It's the only way. Otherwise, it will fail.
Later, we find out that Jacqueline has since gone ahead and launched her own party. Its program includes ways to alter the distribution of wealth. Down south in Foix, Sylvie is on her way home to her children. In France, single parents are the most at-risk group of falling into poverty. Without the help of her two oldest daughters, it would be impossible for Sylvie to dedicate so much time to the movement.
À quelle heure t'es rentrée de chez papa? 17h30. Je souhaite pour le futur.
I hope my children won't have to toil away as much as we do right now. If things continue, they won't stand a chance. Never.
Despite working and protesting, Sylvie tries to at least ensure that the family can have dinner together. There's not much time left for them to talk about how the day went, to settle problems, or laugh or argue with each other.
It's brave what she's doing. Even though the Yellow Vests can sometimes be annoying. But we know they're doing it for us too. But we don't see her much these days. She comes home late from work, even later since the Yellow Vest thing started. We don't see her at the weekends either.
I understand what they're saying. I'm gone quite a lot. I set off early every morning and come home late. I don't have a choice. We can't give up this fight.
The Yellow Vests will continue their struggle, and the government is no longer able to ignore them.